2, 1. We should be live. Good evening, everyone. I'm back with Alistair Unicom, and we are talking again about the MEGATRON 3000. And in this video, we're going to be talking about some of the players who may not have done so well as they could have wanted. We're not going to try and crap on the players because, hey, some of them might be new, some of them just were unlucky. But we are going to look at the lists today, right, Alistair, and maybe see if we can find out what could have been better, just based on that.
Yep, that's absolutely right. The players will get better with time and practice. But what we want to do, as you've just said, is look at the theatre selectors, look at the lists, and see if there were any opportunities missed to maybe make the army better. As I just said, players will get better over time, but the armies, I think some of them at the bottom could have optimized the selectors they were using a little bit better, and we're going to dig into that. Excuse me. So who's first off the rank?
Well, I don't actually know which player it is, but it's the 6th core list. I think this was number 28 or something. So I'll share my screen and you can see what's going on here.
Okay.
Right. So it's it's 15 order 1250 6th core. So it's Americans. And
let me check on that. And I will confirm.
So because Alistair actually has the books on him right now.
Books. So that was Max. Max finished 24th, and let me just pull that book up. That was in Soft Underbelly, and page 159 in a book.
In a real book. With paper and stuff.
Yep. So Max, as you said, he finished 24th.
Okay.
And he had the Italian 6th Corps reinforced platoon. So it was a US list, as you said.
Yeah.
So the selector, he had options on a first or second lieutenant, and 2 regular infantry squads, either early or mid-war.
Which he did take. Yeah.
Yep. So that was his core requirement.
Yeah.
And then he had the options on 0 to 1 captain or major, 0 to 1 medic, 0 to 2 forward observers, either artillery, air, or naval. But he couldn't take the same twice.
Okay.
It was a maximum of 1 each. He had options on an intelligence officer, 0 to 1, a chaplain, 0 to 1. Then he had 0 to 4 infantry squads, and it was a whole mess of stuff that he could take. But there were limits on a maximum of 2 engineer squads.
Yeah.
0 to 1 machine gun team, 0 to 1 mortar team, 0 to 1 sniper, 0 to 1 flamer, 0 to 2 bazookas. Bit of options
you could go double bazooka, and he did.
Yep. 0 to 1 artillery pieces, 0 to 1 armored cars. Armored cars are a bit limited for him. He had the recon jeep, the white scout car, the Greyhound, or the M20 scout car. So not everything. But he did have the options on 0 to 2 tanks.
Yeah.
And he had a good range. No Dacus Stewart, though. I know you're a fan of the Dacus Stewart. He did not have that option.
Yep.
But he could have a regular Stewart, M4, M4A1 Sherman. I'm not going to cover the list because it's
but there's a wide variety. Okay,
it's a good variety, and then a whole bunch of different transport options, which were pretty much all of them. So I like the selector, but let's dig in to see what Max actually picked.
My like one caveat here is that the selector it has a good spread of choices, but maybe the special rules for it are not that competitive. I mean, he had the option of taking this Nisei and Truscott Trot special rules, right? And I'm not sure that that's enough to justify picking this selector. There are other selectors that really get a lot of interest in special rules.
That's true. That's true. I mean,
if I would improve anything, he had a lieutenant with 2 extra men. He had 3 BAR infantry units, skirmish type units. He had 2 engineers. That's perfectly fine. 8-man units, so going in Dodge trucks, a light mortar, a sniper team, double bazookas, a Greyhound, and 2 M15s. And 2 Dodges for the engineers, right? So that was the list, and it was 15 order dice. So the order dice count is okay, although in a bit on the low side.
I would argue against that,
Yeah.
Bo, because the dice cap for the event was 18 order
Oh,
dice.
yeah,
So that's where it
right.
capped out. So I think
So this
15
is
and
actually pretty good. Yeah.
I think 15 and 16 order dice within this
Yeah.
format is perfect.
That's pretty good, actually.
If when you were scrolling through it, you would have seen a few of our favorite units in there. The inexperienced light mortar, big
Yeah.
fan.
Yes.
Big fan of that. As you said, the 2 engineers squads
Yes.
and Dodge
Also
trucks,
pretty good.
really
And
good.
and I like that they are 8-man units. They don't need to be 5-man units because you have 8 seats on a Dodge truck.
Yep,
So that works out perfectly fine.
I'm
Although
a big fan of that.
you could go and cut them down, and then stick maybe something else, maybe a bazooka team in the Dodge with them.
What I believe, if you scroll down to the very end,
Yeah.
just to check the bottom of his list,
He had
so
2 Dodges with pintle mounted.
those gun carriages with the heavy autocannons
Yeah.
and the turret mounted HMG, they are really good. I do like them. I think the issue that Max came across was his results. He lost the first 2 games and then had a big win at the end. He had 2 points, 1 point, and then had 8 points. Big win at the end.
Ooh, that's a big win.
Oh yeah, it was a good win for him.
Mm.
I think to make this a little bit better is what you've said about the special rules for the selector, because I like all these selections. They're all good units.
All the choices are really good. The units are good.
Yep. But the Truscott Trot and the Going for Broke, they've got a synergy together, but they only work truly for the HQ units.
Yeah.
And with this being inexperienced, there's no point giving it to them.
Yeah.
But they work for veteran units. So if he was able to work in a veteran unit with some submachine guns, as a
that would have been beneficial.
You like the term a push unit.
Yeah.
And that way, combined with the Truscott Trot, so he gets a 7-inch advance or a 14-inch run. Going for Broke, the Nisei squad's automatically treated as having passed their order test for assault.
Yeah.
Those two working together, a 14-inch infantry assault, which they're automatically going to pass.
Really good, right?
Hammer it home.
Yeah.
I think that's where the list didn't optimize what it could do.
Just not using the special rules, and the special rules maybe being a bit like they really encourage only one thing to do here, and doesn't benefit what he is doing. He's bringing a lot of skirmishes. He's bringing a lot of skirmishes and engineers, and that's good. But his special rules are not like built for that.
Yep, they're not utilized, but it's a good list. I like as I said,
I really like
the gun carriages. Good for picking off the light tanks, which I think he probably didn't encounter a lot of light tanks because there weren't a lot of light tanks here.
Oh no, that sucks.
But he would have been able to put pins quite happily.
But
actually, you know what? If I am being super critical, the M8 Greyhound, I think that's where you could save your points.
Yeah, you can save points on that. I am not a fan of the Greyhound either.
No.
And it's just the fact that it's open topped. I mean, the M15s, they're pretty okay, especially in an environment where you expect a lot of Stuarts, but you don't for this tournament. Or so they might the picking the choice, the actual choice of the M15s, it may have gone wrong for him on the day, actually, because you saw a lot of heavier tanks, didn't you?
Medium and heavy tanks were prevalent.
Medium heavy tanks, yeah.
But so the cool thing is, though, the heavy autocannons, good range, good for putting pins on the vehicles, and the HMG as well. And if he encountered any veteran infantry, then
they would be in trouble.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But look, that's the M8 Greyhound. That's a kind of weaker unit. I would have dropped that.
Yeah.
All the other units I think are fine, and just better optimization of the special rules to get a 14-inch infantry assault.
Oh, that's insane. Oh, I
That would
wish
have been
my
good.
Gurkhas could get that.
Yeah, good luck with that.
No,
But
no,
no,
they're
Max,
overpowered as it is. So
Max, I know, and I've played quite a few times, and I've seen him play quite a few times. He's a player that's growing in strength from tournament to tournament, and he's picking up advice and techniques. So he's one to watch, and he's enthusiastic as well. He's a good guy.
Lovely. So this is not a list where we can say that, well, a lot of stuff is wrong. This is actually a good player who is doing better and maybe just didn't use it to the full potential.
Yeah, I think there was a what's the term I've sometimes used? That leap from good to great.
Yeah.
It's a big leap to make, but with small changes to apply. So, but look, it's lessons learned.
Yeah, definitely.
What's our next list?
Right,
Paul?
our next list, I know who it's from. It's from Craig Brown.
Brown.
It's the IGA Kwantung Army of 1937.
Empire in Flames.
He had 18 order dice, 1246 points.
Yep. So this is selected from Empire in Flames, page 25. Now, it's worth noting, from memory, Empire in Flames that's a first edition expansion book.
I think so.
Is it not?
Yeah,
I'm pretty sure it is. But just to give a brief rundown on the selector that he had options on. So minimum requirements was 1 officer and 2 infantry squads, and he had access to the IGA infantry squad, veteran infantry squad, or SNLF squad.
Yeah.
And this is where it starts to get a little bit interesting straight away. So his additional HQ units, he could have 0 to 2 captains or major, 0 to 2 medics, or 0 to 1 forward observer, be it artillery or air. Then in the infantry section, 0 to 4 infantry squads. I'm not going to dig into them, but it was scout squads, infantry squads, veteran grenadiers, SNLF. It's a lot.
Yeah.
Then it was 0 to 1 IGA cavalry troop.
Ooh.
Yeah, 0 to 3 medium machine guns, 0 to 2 mortar teams, 0 to 3 sniper teams, 0 to 1 flamethrower team, 0 to 1 anti-tank team. Then in the artillery section, he had 0 to 2 artillery choices, and he looked to have basically everything the Japanese had access to. Armored car, he had 0 to 2 choices as well, a Type 87 or a Type 92, Hukuku Gogo, whatever, Japanese magic. 0 to 1 tanks, so Type 94 tankette, Type 89 medium tank, or the SSKI, which is I'm sure that's the engineer tank.
That's the engineer with a lot of flamethrowers, which he did bring.
Yep. And then transports and tows, just trucks and horses and stuff. So,
right,
for one single platoon, that was a lot. He had a lot of choices.
A lot of stuff you have access to. What were the special rules for the selector?
None. There were no special rules.
So it's just the actual access to a lot of good stuff.
It's just the access. So, and remembering as well, this is a 1937 list.
So it's early war. Yeah.
Super early war. Yeah. So let's see what you went for.
Well, he did bring the lieutenant and the extra man, but he didn't actually expand on buying medics or extra captains, which I can understand. I don't think that would have been worth it. Then he brought a lot of IGA infantry, 10-man units, 4 of those. So that is a lot of regulars, riflemen, and they're quite big units. So, I mean, for me, in my terminology at least, it's a sort of weird mix, because I'm not sure what you would what to do with these units. I mean, rifle regulars, I think they should be skirmishers, but
Well,
10-man skirmishers, I'm not sure.
remember as well that as a Japanese army, he still benefits from all the Japanese national special
Still
rules.
gives the Banzai and
Banzai Fanatic.
Yeah.
He's still got
So
all
so
that.
it's still so it's sort of a mix between skirmish and chargers, but I don't think you should charge a lot with regulars. That's my issue with these units. I'm not sure about them, but it is a lot of regulars, so it's sort of a more survivable horde of infantry
This
that
is
don't
where
get the
you
-1 to shoot.
this is where you have to remember as well, though, as we've just read through the selector,
Yeah.
that these guys are the minimum cheapest basic infantry man he
Yeah.
can put on the field. So there's,
Yeah.
you know, in 1937 there were no bamboo spearmen,
No,
there were no
exactly.
inexperienced riflemen. This was
So we
Japanese
can't
army.
improve on this. I'm not sure how I would play these infantrymen myself. I wouldn't play them as a horde, and I wouldn't play them as skirmishers. I would play them as sort of a mix between the two, which I'm trying to wrap my head around. But I do like the Manchukuo cavalry. Oh man, yeah, that is amazing. Tough fighters and horses to get that sweet move, and then you still benefit from a fanatic. I think he should have gone at least 2 of these units. No?
He never had the option. 0 to 1.
0 to 1. Oh,
Remember?
I hope you said 0 to 2, because if you had 0 to 2, yes, definitely. 0 to 1, okay. I can live with that. It's an amazing unit. It's an amazing unit. I really like it. Then he had, of course, the 2 mortars, regular, one with a spotter. I don't think he needed to do this. This second mortar is at least semi-waste of points if you don't have the spotter. You do become more survivable. Can he take the mortars inexperience here?
Yes. Yep.
So I think you should. I think he should save the points, done something else. 3 sniper teams. So he would have won any sniper duel he went into.
100%.
And a flamethrower without the transport, though. A suicide anti-tank team. He had 3 of those, inexperienced, and 2 field guns, medium howitzers with spotters. I like these. They're cool. And the SSKI vehicle, which is that it has it has a bridging equipment, which I've actually heard of once of maybe being useful, and the player didn't even get to use it because it died before it actually got to be bridged. Anyway, so, and it has multiple flamethrowers, 360. So it's pretty useful, but it's 7+, so it dies pretty easily as well.
Yeah. Well, it's fully armored though, so
it is fully armored and it's not open top, so it's pretty good. Yeah.
For me, before we do any more digging into this,
Yeah.
when I was doing my list checking, I never pushed back on this list because it meets all the legal requirements. But the issue, I believe, from this theatre selector, and because this is a first edition book, the first edition book's poorly written in the sense that, and I hate talking historical accuracy, but I don't believe there were suicide anti-tank teams in 1937.
There weren't. Yeah.
So, look, it's a poorly written selector.
Yeah.
From first edition of the game, and you know, I'm not saying anything to the player. He adhered to the rules. He adhered to what the book was written, and I let it happen.
Yeah.
It's just sometimes there's little quirks like that. There's quirks when the theatre selectors, when they have to work backwards to the first edition army books, there's always something wrong. And I mentioned this in the first video that any theatre selector from the Stalingrad expansion book, I told them they did not get access to Panzerfausts because they weren't there. But if you go
it's
by
just
the
one
rules,
of those quirks when when books don't really,
they're not talking to each other properly.
They're not talking to each other. Yeah.
No.
So,
because but anyway, that's just if there's anybody watching or listening, that's just a disclaimer that yes, we accept that this was a thing.
Yeah.
So, and I mean, suicide anti-tankers, they're pretty difficult to use anyway. Yes, they hit with a +8, but it's difficult to actually get them to contact that tank, right? So it's not overpowered in any way. It's just they weren't there. So what would you change about this list? What do you think? Why do you think it maybe didn't do so well?
Well, you've already alluded to a few of the little changes you would have made. Yeah. And that's dropping the mortars to inexperienced and just ditching the spotter off one of them.
Yeah.
I would maybe have hunted some more veteran units, veteran infantry.
Yeah, that was my thought as well. Maybe cut down on one of the infantry units and make one of them veteran.
Yeah, I mean, he's got access to, or had access to, veteran grenadiers.
Yeah.
And just veteran infantry squad, so I would have gone with that.
Yeah.
Even with that, though, on paper, I rated this list very highly, and
I did
you
as
did
well.
also.
Yeah,
because you did a video review of it.
I did a video review on it, and I was like, this is pretty good.
Yeah.
Because it had all the elements. It has a gun line that's pretty good. That's 4 HE. It has 2 howitzers and 2 mortars. It has 40 regular dudes to put out in front of that gun line. It has the suicide anti-tankers to scatter into that infantry to make sure that tanks don't approach it. It had all the tools. For me, it had all the tools. And yes, there are still like things I can see that you might want to do differently. I would want some sort of transport for that flamethrower team. Otherwise, I'm not sure why they're there. So
yeah,
yeah.
So in this instance, Craig had a 5-point win in his first round, and then he went for a 1-point loss and a 3-point loss. So he started okay.
So not big losses, but yeah. But
no, the losses were huge. In the second round, he only got 1 point. That's the minimum. And I know that
because I thought he was just 1 point behind.
Yeah, no, I know he encountered Brian Forrester in round 2.
Oh, that's rough as well. Okay.
Yeah, so you know Brian. We'll talk about his list in the third video.
Yeah.
But he had multiple armored personnel carriers. He had a lot of brain carriers going on, and I know that the dice did abandon him quite badly. Their table was quite close to the TO's desk, and I heard a lot of cries and whimpering. But look, other than the main things we've mentioned, that theater selector is really strong, and this list is really strong.
It is.
And I think it underperformed on the day.
I am surprised that it ended up where it did. I had rated it way higher, even though I can see some things that I would maybe change. But
yeah, but they're not. You know, even with those changes, I would have predicted this list to be in the top 10 quite comfortably.
Yeah.
And the changes you're mentioning, they would be more to suit the player using it. Like if it was you or I,
they would be minor. They would be minor. Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I would do. So yeah, a list that underperformed, but a theater selector that has got buckets of potential.
Yes, definitely.
You know, 0 to 3 sniper teams.
You know, I mean, it has so much going for it. Sniper teams. It has the what we talked about, the artillery. It has a lot of infantry choices, and it has the potential to at least have some good push units as well. It just didn't pan out.
No, on the day.
So,
but life happens.
That happens. Right, let's move to our third list of the day, and that is Kampfgruppe Piper.
Okay. You got a name associated with that?
No, maybe William Young, but I'm Wilhelm Young. No, that's.
Oh yeah, that's that. Yeah, that's Billy.
Wilhelm Young.
Yeah, that's the player's William Young. He's a character.
Okay.
Oh, he's so funny.
Anyways,
Billy is a new player to Bolt Action and to tournaments. and he fully embraced the villain role of playing Germans. He had a handmade sort of sticker sign, handwritten,
Yeah.
that he's immense, like, I am the villain, I am the bad guys, and I regret not being able to take any pictures of his army because he had swastikas on it, and you know
Yeah.
what the social
Yeah.
media algorithms are like.
Yeah.
And it was all appropriate because he had a bad guy army.
Oh man. Yeah.
But it was so good. So what
Right. He had 9 order dice, 1249 points. The Kampfgruppe Piper.
right.
I
Just let me
cannot
double
remember.
check I've got the right page.
Yeah, I am not sure which book that this is from.
Yeah, just give me a second. I will look back and find it. But Billy was so funny, and he's got the spirit of bolt action in
Oh
him,
yeah.
which is just so good.
Yeah.
Sorry, this isn't making for a good video, but you've
Oh,
done
that's
worse
okay.
videos with Russell Wright, so
Definitely. Yeah.
with his constant clicking of his spreadsheet.
Yes, I don't know why he does that.
Yeah, with his loud clickety clickety click. Oh, where are you? Where are you, Willie?
Right, while you're looking that up, I'll go over the list.
Yeah, please do.
William brought a veteran second lieutenant with an extra dude. He brought Waffen SS units of different sizes and compositions. The first one here is 10 men with assault rifles. 2 of them have Panzerfausts. The second one has 4 submachine guns and 5 assault rifles and 1 LMG, which we'll get back to that, and 3 Panzerfausts. He had a captain with an extra man. He had a medic, 3-man medic team. He had another Waffen SS unit with 2 submachine guns and 7 assault rifles and an LMG and 2 Panzerfausts. He had a medium machine gun team. He had a medium mortar team, regular with a spotter, and a Panther, the actual Panther, with Tiger Fear and 9+, 7+ super heavy anti-tank gun, all the trimmings. Inexperienced though, 284 points.
Yep. This is going to make terrible video again. I've lost his theater selector.
Oh, it doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. Right. Because and it doesn't really matter because what he's chosen here is there's so many problems here. Just looking at 9 order dice. Oh, before we do that, I'm not William. I'm definitely not trying to shit on you. This is an awesome and thematic army, and you bringing a Panther to an event. Oh, good on you. I did that last weekend. It was amazingly fun, but you're not going to win any games, especially not with 9 order dice when the cap is 18 order dice. You're constantly behind on order dice.
For the record, I had a wee chat with William at the end of the event, and he knows knows that he needed to boost the order dice count, and I think that's what our feedback should be focused on: is how can he use the models or use the elements he's got, because again, this army was a really great paint job. And it had that sort of SS autumn camo again, which is it's just so well done.
People who can do that, they're just
frustrate the life out of me. I think the problem is that sometimes people do it too well,
and it just disappears on the actual model. They have to do it.
They almost have to do it in a sort of cartoon brightness to make it stand out. Anyway,
right. So if I was to redo this list, I would at least make sure that you had some not so big, not so pushy, not so over the top SS units. You don't need all of them to be full of assault rifles, full of machine guns and Panzerfausts and everything, and at the same time have like a huge number of troops in them. These are 10-man units. They're very big and they're tooled up, and I don't think you need that for every single unit. So that's my first comment.
Yeah, the focus here, for players watching on and for Billy, should he listen, is that going the full strength, you get your benefits for the extra leadership role if you're coming on the board and such, but it's not always essential when you're a veteran unit because you've got the extra leadership. So having a mixture, like stripping out, so the first squad there with 9 assault rifles, I would strip out maybe 4 of those assault rifles, maybe even 5, and replace them with normal rifles. And their rule of thumb for all German players to follow: if your soldier is carrying a Panzerfaust, he should just carry a rifle. Because by double stacking, a submachine gun or an assault rifle, that's a lot of equipment points on one man that can be sniped out the unit. So rule of thumb,
and at the
Panzerfaust.
same time, if you have all these assault rifles, this is overkill because you have 10 men with double shots, so it's 20 shots coming out of a single unit of infantry. You don't need that many shots. I think you're better off with a bit of range, and then like a few of the assault rifles. By all means, if you want to have a push unit, then by all means have a few assault rifles, but have a few rifles as well, and also so that when you start taking casualties, you know which models to remove. You're removing the riflemen because you're already pushing up into the center of the table. So I would agree on you with that. Cut a few of the assault rifles out and give the Panzerfausts to those guys. With the second unit, I would also say that you now, when you're putting an LMG in, which I don't think you should, but that's because I'm a competitive evil whacker. If you're putting an LMG in, you need at least one guy to have a rifle, because otherwise you're paying for an equipment piece that you're not actually going to use because one guy is needed to load the light machine gun. So why buy a submachine gun or an assault rifle for him? Because he's expensive then.
What you're mentioning here is it's the dedication of purpose for the unit.
Yes.
So if as soon as you put a light machine gun within a unit, it becomes a backline holder, a static unit. So he should be surrounded by riflemen.
Yes. For most of us, at least, that is true. Although I have heard, especially German players, try to argue that because the German LMG is better with the extra shot from Hitler's Vostok, that you can use it as a sort of extra machine gun in close range. I don't think that is what it's there for. I don't think that is an optimal use of your unit. I think you should go, if you want to go close range with the weapons. If you want to go backline, do what Alistair says here. Use the
and for the players that are watching and listening, and for Billy, should you be watching and listening, as we're talking about, swapping out assault rifles for rifles, all these points are getting stripped out of your units and they're forming a pool of points that we're going to spend at the end. We're not doing the exact maths, but we will be spending them.
Oh,
and
yes, definitely.
And if you want to scroll down a little bit more.
Yes, because I would also cut out the captain and maybe even also the medic.
It's so thematic and great to see captains on the table, but we're chasing points. And we're trying to increase our order dice count. So let's take him out.
And maybe even the medic, although you do have a lot of veterans here that might benefit from having a medic close by.
Yeah.
Those 46 points could be another order dice spent on something that can actually kill stuff.
I'm fine with a medic in this list. And there's a lot of people that can be saved. But again, there's another big Waffen SS squad. With a mixture of submachine guns and assault rifles. The same advice would apply.
And LMG,
yeah. So it's a busy squad that's trying to be a Swiss Army knife when those sorts of units don't often work. So either dedicate it to a push unit, so take out the light machine gun and replace the submachine guns with assault rifles. We're not going to go over the same advice again. We've covered that.
I think I would actually even cut the whole unit here, because you already have 2 Waffen SS push units with assault rifles and submachine guns. I don't think you need a third necessarily. You can go a third, but I don't think you need it necessarily.
I would say you still need a third infantry unit though.
Yes, you do. But
So
maybe not another push unit. Maybe a backline holder or a cheaper infantry unit could support the 2 push units with rifle fire or LMG fire if you want to go that way. Right.
I would leave the medium machine gun team in, and I would leave the medium mortar team in. We're not going to be pushing for max efficiency in list building today.
No, especially not if you're going to go a Panther. You're not going to go for max efficiency ever, anyways. Yeah.
So look, the Panther's there. Keen-eyed players will see that it's labelled as inexperienced.
Yep.
If you're going to take it, I would find the points to make it regular to get the maximum benefit from it.
Definitely.
With the points that are now left, and I'm sure the selector, I am truly sorry that I've misplaced selector it is, but I'm sure the selector will allow you to take a flamer team.
Yes.
It would be very rare if it didn't. And with that flamer team, a Kubo wagon as transport, and I would look to try and take a heavy field car as another transport option for one of those cut down push infantry units.
Yeah. Especially if you cut out a few of the guys in one of them, that would be perfect for a field car. Yeah. I also think I would get a few more infantry choices in, like cut out this big unit and instead take 2 or maybe even 3 smaller units of regular or inexperienced troops to hold back lines or to skirmish.
I'm going to edge on the theory that he might not have had options on those.
Might be that he only has the option of taking veteran infantry, but you can still go and get like 5 or 6 veterans with rifles. That would be way cheaper than what he's buying here.
Yes. But already with the advice we've given on the list, that should push his order dice count up to 12 or 13 dice, which is now creeping into the range of comfortable. For Billy, you know what? Billy actually he took a loss in the first round, and I know that he encountered a reasonably seasoned player, but then he still delivered 2 draws after that. He got a 3-point draw and a 4-point draw. So,
well, I can tell you why that happened. His army couldn't be killed. He had veterans all around and a medic and a panther. Nothing could kill it.
So, on paper he finished a little bit further down, but the army held itself, as you said. But it just couldn't maybe reach out to kill enough. So, look, fair play to Billy. I hope to see him again because he's a really fun character. And it would appear he's quite handy with a paintbrush as well, which I am always a fan of. So, fair play to Billy.
Thank you so much, Billy. And we have 2 more armies to go. And this one is the U.S. Marines of Palau, 1944.
So this was run by a player called Noor Salim. Noor is a really new player. And he was... I don't even know how many games he'd played before this event. Might not even have been 2. But he was keen. He had his list. Nice. And this is the United States Marines Palau 1944. So, page 116 of the Mariana and Palau Island book. So to go through his selector, it's actually quite a standard selector. So compulsory options: first or second lieutenant, 2 infantry squads, either U.S. Marine squads mid-war, or he had options on the Palau U.S. Marine assault squad from the Mariana book. Then he had the options on taking another lieutenant, 0 to 1 captain or major, 0 to 1 chaplain, 0 to 1 medic, or 0 to 1 observer, either artillery or air. Then he was 0 to 3 infantry squads, again, Marine squads mid to late war, or the Palau US Marine assault squad, 0 to 1 machine gun, 0 to 1 mortar, light or medium only, 0 to 2 bazookas, 0 to 1 flamethrower, 0 to 1 sniper, 0 to 1 Marine Corps war dog,
Hmm?
0 to 1 artillery piece. Pretty much either light or medium artillery. So again, limitations. 0 to 1 tanks. So it's just some basic Shermans. Actually, not that flash. And then just a standard selection of transports. So not a hugely exciting selector, but
No.
I need to double check those assault squads because I'm pretty sure they are exciting.
I think so.
The US
too.
Marine assault squads. And I'm just cross checking. US Marine assault squad. US Marine assault squad. Yes, they are very exciting. But let's see what he
Okay.
took first.
So what he did bring was 10 order dice for a 1250 game, and
Yep.
and that is low again. So again, I think one of the jobs that we're going to have here is maybe find out where he could get a few more order dice into his list. He's bringing the first lieutenant veteran with an extra man. Again, for me, that becomes very expensive, but that might be the selectors only.
No. There's no limitation. So he had options on first or second lieutenant. So he could have brought he could brought a second.
You need to cut down on the veterancy of your lieutenant. You don't need that much veterancy most of the time because you're most of the time hiding anyway.
I would have taken a second regular lieutenant. The other thing though that we have to consider here is that the players have read the mission, the tournament pack, and they know that they get 1 battle point if their officer survives.
True. So he might want to try and make him survive. But do you think he needs to be first lieutenant?
True. Yeah. Does he need to be a first lieutenant? No. No. Not when you're American. You don't. So a second lieutenant would have been fine. Regular veteran, that's a discussion for the player themselves if they're concerned about keeping them alive. And that's an option as well that Billy in our last list would have maybe thought as well.
And then we have US Marine units, and I think he has 3 of these. Yes, but one of them is slightly differently equipped. So he has 2 of them where we have 12-man units, 9 rifles and 3 BARs, and they are stubborn. So huge units of veterans here. 12-man units of veterans. That's very, very big. And he had a medic, regular. He had a artillery observer with an extra man, regular. He had a U.S. Marine unit with 8 rifles and 2 submachine guns and 2 BARs, stubborn. He had 1 medium mortar, veteran, without a spotter. He had a bazooka team, veteran. He had a sniper team, veteran, and he had a Sherman M4A1, regular. So I at least think that some of these units could quite easily have been cut in half and then made into 2 units. If we're talking the infantry units, they're quite big.
With his selections, there's nothing wrong. No. It's just they need to be reduced down in number to free up some points. I would be happy to leave all the infantry squads as veteran, just to give them that survivability. But go from 12 men down to 8.
You could even cut them in half and go 6 men.
True.
But 8 would be fine for most of them, and then you could spend the extra points on an extra infantry unit.
Yeah. The artillery observer, I don't know.
I would have bought an air observer just to play around because you're playing Americans, and Americans get to fire the air observer twice. So why not use that air observer? I know it's funky and it doesn't always work, and sometimes you hit your own guys, but hey, it might work, and it's twice you get to shoot it. It's just one of the only things that the Americans have. So I think I would go with if you're going to buy a forward observer, go with the air observer. Otherwise, save the points.
Yeah. There is, as we're talking about the infantry units,
Yeah.
and how many did you say he had? He had 3, didn't
He had 3. Yeah, 3 large infantry units.
What I would be doing is reducing the numbers of one of them, cutting one in half now, as you said, taking the third one and putting it to the side. I said that this selector was quite basic and that it didn't have any special rules. What it does have, though, is access to the Palau US Marine Assault Squad, and these guys are absolute demons. So you can buy, it's a 1 NCO and 4 men, 90 points regular or 105 points veteran. 3 men with rifles, 2 men with flamethrowers.
Nor, you need to get yourself some of these. Hot damn. Double flamethrowers. Get yourself one of these units and stick them in a dodge. They're going to kill everything you point them at. Everything, I promise you.
So 5 guys, 105 points, veteran, 2 flamethrowers.
Man.
Yeah. These are the guys you want to take. At least 1 squad as a minimum just to show up.
Yeah.
Probably 2. And as
probably
Bo
2
said,
if you want to be competitive about it.
As Bo said, put them in. Does he have options on that?
The Dodge trucks?
Doesn't have options on the Dodge.
No.
The best he can get, or the cheapest he can get, is the 1.5 ton truck.
Then take one of those. I don't care.
Yeah, one 1.5 ton truck. 2 of these squads inside.
Yeah.
and dead
that
set.
is going to mess up stuff. Yes.
Your opponent's hearts will stop in their tracks. 2 flamethrowers.
Ooh.
Veteran. Oh yeah, it's good times. But I think that's the trick that was missed with this selector.
I think it is. That is the trick. So don't spend so much on the expensive units here. Cut them down and take something that's more killy. I think that would be the game here. Do you like the Sherman tank?
His choices are limited, and I think he needed armor. He needed an armor option.
He does need some sort of armor here. Yeah, I agree.
And that is the best one that's going actually.
Okay.
It's the M4 Sherman. Then you're down to the landing craft, so it is very themed towards what they had on hand.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that is our suggestions for this list, and I think this was a player who experienced order dice he had problems during the day. He must have been down on order dice so many times.
He did. He went loss, draw, loss. So he still pulled a result.
Nice.
And I spoke to Noor afterwards, and I have done since through Messenger. And he's looking to attend at least one more event this year, and I hope that he gets to watch this and that he's got a good selector. Good core.
It's good core. And if he has these models, he also has a good core. I mean, this many infantrymen with BARs, when you're playing Americans, this is really good. This amount of riflemen, this is really good. The models that he has in his collection, spot on.
And with a lot of the newer players that we're talking about here, I communicating with them and messaging them to help them with lists, to convert from theatre selectors into generic selector platoons. And hopefully Noor can make that leap quite easily. And with this model selection, it shouldn't be a problem.
Yes, he should be fine.
But that's why the Mariana book is so good. 100-something points for 5 veterans with 2 flamethrowers.
Oh,
happy days!
Oh man!
Because flamethrowers win tournaments.
Yes, they do. They do. Unfortunately, I don't like it, but they do.
Multi-launchers don't. Flamethrowers
do. Flamethrowers do. Yeah, that is true. Right. Last list of this video, which is the Kampfgruppe East HGD.
Yes. So this was Ryan Harrison's list.
Right.
So Kampfgruppen East HGD. That is the Italian soft underbelly book. and you're going to reference page 135.
Cool.
So I'm going to give it a quick once over if you're happy with that.
Yes, go with that.
And for the record, HGD is the Hermann Göring division,
Yeah.
just if anybody is wondering. So lieutenant, first or second. Sorry, these are his minimum requirements.
Mhm.
And then 2 infantry squads, Hermann Göring Panzer Grenadier squads. And then HQ 0 to 1 captain or major, 0 to 1 medic, 0 to 1 forward observer, either artillery or air, 0 to 1 intelligence officer, 0 to 1 chaplain, and then infantry, again limited 0 to 4 infantry squads, and it's just the Hermann Göring Panzer Grenadier squads.
Yep.
0 to 1 machine gun team, 0 to 1 mortar, only medium or heavy he has options on.
Yep.
0 to 1 flamethrower, 0 to 1 anti-tank rifle, 0 to 2 artillery pieces.
Mhm.
And he's got options on pretty much anything he wants, light, medium, heavy, Nebelwerfer, Flak 88, etc.
Has it got the Flak Zwilling?
Does that come under another name?
It's got dual heavy autocannons.
No.
Okay.
No, that would have come under anti-aircraft gun, wouldn't it?
Maybe.
So it's just the 37mm Flak 36, the 88 Flak dual purpose. So yeah, he's just got 2 anti-aircraft guns. Tanks and anti-aircraft vehicles.
Yeah.
He had the options on a Tiger 1.
Which he did take.
I know, God bless him. Love it. An SDKFZ with a Flak 38 on it. So he only had like 2 options on the tank slot. Then he's got his standard transportations, Kugelwagen, heavy field car, truck, so pretty standard there. So what did Ryan take?
Right. Well,
run the list.
He basically took what he could, which I think is one of the problems with the theater selector. It's pretty limited. So he had a second lieutenant with an extra man, regular, and then he had Panzer Grenadiers, and he had 6 units of those. So he had 1 unit that had 5 riflemen and 2 submachine guns. Then he had 4 riflemen, 2 submachine guns. Then he had 6 riflemen, 6 riflemen, 4 rifles, 2 light machine guns, 4 rifles, 2 light machine guns. So at least there's some like splitting up of jobs here, right? Because he has 2 of the units that are backline holders with double light machine guns, and then 2 of the units which are skirmishes with rifles, and then 2 of the units which has a few submachine guns in them. So that is his infantry. All of them were regulars. And then he had a medium machine gun team, regular, medium mortar team, veteran with spotter. He had a flak veteran, the 88, and then a Hanomag 7 half track, I guess, to transport.
He needed to tow it, yeah.
Yeah, he needed to tow it.
Yeah.
Inexperienced, and a Tiger 1 regular.
I am going to go out on a limb, having had a chat with Ryan before and after the event. He, I believe, was limited on miniatures available to begin with.
Yeah.
Which is why I think some of the things ended up being veteran to absorb the points to get on the table.
That makes sense.
But I have to say, a veteran Flak 88, that's pretty lethal.
I mean, it has the gun shield, so you're only dying on 6s. It's really, really lethal.
Yep.
It's extremely expensive, but yeah, I've been on the receiving end of 88 guns, and that is no fun. So,
there's something that the listeners and viewers should be aware of, though, with the Hermann Göring division Panzer Grenadiers.
Yeah.
They can only come in regular, so he is really tightly limited as to what he could do.
Yeah.
Only a handful of them could be armed with submachine guns. He could go twin LMGs within the squads if that was what he wanted to do. But the issue was that they've got the special rule called unprepared.
Yeah. Which is a sort of green special rule.
Yeah, well, it's not even that. So yeah, it's similar to green, but where the unit takes its first casualty, roll a d6.
Yeah.
On the roll of a 1 or a 2, the unit becomes inexperienced.
Yeah.
3, 4, 5, they stay as regular, and if they roll a 6, they become veteran.
Yeah.
So it's actually worse than green.
It's worse than green. Yeah, it is.
But they do come with the special rule motorized infantry, so they can reroll their order check.
Yep.
To get in and out of vehicles, and that's something that's standard with Panzer Grenadiers from the Budapest book onwards. So.
Yeah. But it's not really useful here because he doesn't have any transports. So, yeah.
I think to start with, Ryan has limited himself with this selector, and the options that he's got. So I think the selector is the issue.
It is. It is definitely the issue.
12 order dice is just about going to cut it within this rules pack.
You might get away with 12, yeah.
Yeah.
Especially when you're spending approximately 400 points on a Tiger. So, yeah.
Yep. Look, Tiger's a good, amazing tank, and it's really great to see them on the field.
Really
and as we mentioned, as we mentioned, there were big cats prowling around.
Yep.
But I think the players, probably picked the wrong selector. Well, the right selector for his miniature collection, the wrong selector for what he wanted to do.
The wrong selector for winning games. I mean, there's not a lot that I would change if I had picked this selector as well. I would also be pretty much limited to it. So the only thing we can say here is the selector is just not that great.
Yep. What I would say to Ryan is, if you've got page 135 of your book open, look to the theatre selector immediately to the right. It's got very similar options, but it opens up some more options. You can take some Fallschirmjäger Pioneer squads. You get the next. I think it's like there's another version of the Hermann Göring division. Because for whatever reason, probably historical reasons, I would imagine, there are 2 different Hermann Göring squads for different time periods.
Yeah.
And different locations. And so the HGD guys from Sicily and Salerno, which this other selector gives you options on, they can be regular or veteran. They're not unprepared.
Yeah.
They've got the fact that you can be regular or veteran gives you a bit more flexibility.
It does.
The artillery pieces are the same, so you can still take your Flak 88. Sadly, your Tiger 1 disappears, but you've got options.
Well, if you can take something else that's cheaper, that will give you more order dice anyway.
So I think you are undone by the selector.
Yeah.
Which it's really sad to say that, but there was another.
It is what it is. Not all selectors are equal here, and that is one of the things that Megatron actually did show, is that it does matter when you're going into theater selectors. It does matter which ones you pick, because they're definitely not the same, and they're not the same in power level. You're going to have to choose wisely, and you're going to have to try and figure out whether those special rules actually benefit your playstyle. So if you want to bring that Tiger, yes, go and pick this, but otherwise it's not going to benefit you a lot.
But to tie it with Ryan, I've been in contact with Ryan since then. I know he's got more miniatures on the way, and we've scribbled up a few generic platoons.
Nice.
And I know I'm going to see him again at another event soon, and I look forward to it.
Sounds good.
But that wraps up part 2.
It does.
Of our trilogy.
That was part 2 of our trilogy. So in the next part, we're going to look at the top lists and what they did and what selectors they had chosen. So thank you so much for joining me, Alistair.
Perfect. Look forward to doing the next one soon.
That was it. Thank you, everyone, for joining, and see you later. Bye.